Hello and welcome to Power Engineering International Newscast. I'm Dermot Williams. In today's main global power headlines, Poland looks to protect its coal industry as pressure grows on EU to ratify Paris climate change agreement. The International Atomic Energy Agency has released a study showing the upward trend in nuclear power capacity is continuing, but at a reduced rate. New report warns EU may be left behind on renewables, and Afghanistan plans first gas-fired power plant. Poland will not consent to a fast-track EU ratification of the Paris climate deal unless Brussels allows for the country's special dependency on coal power. Polish Environment Minister Jan Sisko told his EU counterparts on Monday that coal was the foundation of his country's development. Warsaw would only support formal approval of the Paris Agreement on terms to take into account the specificity of the Polish economy. 85% of Poland's economy was powered by coal in 2013, and the Warsaw position raises the possibility that the EU will be unable to add its name to the global deal. EU environment ministers meet on Friday to discuss a plan to accelerate the bloc's ratification of the accord, without waiting for each of its 28 member countries to do this individually. The UN deal to curb global greenhouse gases responsible for climate change can only take effect after 55 countries, accounting for 55% of global emissions, formally join or ratify it. The Paris Agreement, adopted by virtually every country in the world in December, aims to hold the rise in global temperatures to well below 2 degrees centigrade from levels before the Industrial Revolution, and pursue efforts to limit temperature increase to 1.5 degrees centigrade. The International Atomic Energy Agency has released a study showing the upward trend in nuclear power capacity is continuing, but at a reduced rate. The sector, facing competition from low fossil fuel prices and renewable energy sources, will grow more slowly than projected under previous IAEA reports. IAEA Deputy Director General Mikhail Chudakov said, with populations and demand for electricity growing, nuclear power can help ensure reliable and secure energy supplies while reducing greenhouse gas emissions. However, in a trend that has persisted since the Fukushima incident 5 years ago, nuclear power generating capacity is projected to expand by just between 1.9% to 56% by 2030, compared with the previous estimates of between 2.4% and 68% from last year. Uncertainty related to energy policy, license renewals, shutdowns and future constructions accounts for the wide range. A report by industry body Wind Europe recommends that the European Union raises its renewables target to 30% by 2030 or risk being left behind. The potential of the EU to be a wind industry hub is being undermined by the current target of 27%, and the lack of a clear regulatory vision facilitating renewables is further hindering progress, according to the report. In a statement by Giles Dixon, Chief Executive of Wind Europe, he warned that while the EU is still competitive, China is ahead on total volume and new installations, India is ahead on policy ambitions, and the US is ahead in many areas of technology, especially on grid integration. Wind Europe called for national legislation to support planning and permitting of wind energy projects to continue beyond 2020 and emphasised the need for a stable regulatory framework. A planned power plant in Afghanistan will be the nation's first gas-fired generation facility, as well as its first power project to be financed by the private sector. Developer Gas and Fire Group has been contracted by the government to build, own and operate the 50-megawatt plant in Mazar-e-Sharif under an agreement signed this week. The plant's power will be sold to state-owned utility the Afghanistan Breshna Sharkat through a 20-year power purchase agreement. Once online, it is expected that the plant will boost the nation's power generation capacity by around 30%. That's all for this week. Discuss these and other stories with your fellow power professionals on our LinkedIn group and keep up to date with the latest industry news on Power Engineering International website.